So we'll go through real quick just the overall market and basically kind of stalling out. The S&P is stalling out. Most markets are. NASDAQ stalling out. It's making a double top. Interestingly enough, the industrials coming up on that long-term trend. That's about as textbook as it gets. Roll reversal, and we're bumping our head and doing it right now. Transport's also still bearish, and the Russell is still bearish as well. The VIX is settling in, so hard to say. VIX isn't telling us much right now, but let's go through the big guys first, and then we'll jump to the little guys. See what's happening with the big guys so far. ABC hasn't materialized. Was looking for it to play out, but it hasn't. APD gap down Monday morning. Did not make it back up to the entry point. It got close. Also did the same thing yesterday, but not. There's not enough there here to say that I would have ever gotten in. So it's those are the tricky ones. These are the tricky things. Is when you look at these and you go, well, wait a minute. If it hits or almost hits, but when you look at, let me zoom way in here so it's a little easier to see, I guess. The last couple days, not this candle, but the last two candles, they almost came up and hit the entry point. And a lot of times you'll see these here where, when we're talking about them in the insights here, they hit the entry point. They triggered that, but would you really have gotten in? And sometimes the answer may be yes, but a lot of times you wouldn't have pulled the trigger on it. There's one of these, I believe, I was looking at them earlier. See, and there's the funny thing is you've got to pick and choose which ones to get into. And when you look at this, the big swing this day, that might have been earnings. I don't think it was, Bluebird. The big swing here where we have a huge intraday range with the huge volume, that day triggered the entry point, but would you have pulled the trigger? And this is one of those days, this is one of those where you wish you would have. You're looking at it and go, well, it's dropped off. It's halfway to the target. This is one where you say, I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger. Or if you did, you're wishing you wouldn't have, right? So it's kind of 50-50, and it really comes down to you've got to look at the intraday chart, and you've got to look at all the pieces that go with that particular stock and figure out if it's worth pulling it. But a lot of times we look at these. Here's a perfect example. There's Monday. It opens about the same as it did, rallies real quick in the morning. I remember looking at the intraday chart. It rallied in the first 15, 20 minutes, I think it was, up to 111, 111 and a quarter, and then it started to fall. Well, it fell very quickly. Like in 15 minutes, it fell all the way down to, I think, 109, 109.15, something like that. So it dropped very, very quickly right through the entry point. It blasted right through the entry point. And looking at the intraday chart, you probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on it. And by the time you got to it, it would have been too late. Because it's easy to look at this now and say, well, we should have pulled the trigger. Would have gotten it. Would have, should have, could have. But the reality is you probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that one anyway. So, we've got to take everything into account. So while we look through these and go through and review them, we've got to keep in mind what reality is on an intraday basis and figure out, is that something really that we would have done? CF, just flipping through these to see if there's anything noteworthy, really. Delphi's one that did trigger on Monday. This would have been, obviously would have, should have, could have. And maybe you guys jumped on it. I hope you did, at least at this point. And right now, this might be a point to scale out because you've got the beginnings of a hangman, essentially. And we're basically about halfway to the target. So I'd look at, and this is just me personally, based on what I see right here on the chart, I'd probably take out a quarter or a third of the position if I was in one right now. I didn't happen to catch this one. But if you did, I can't tell you what to do. Obviously, it's your money, but it would be something where I would be considering it, depending on how this last candle closes out.